Greetings once again, folks, and welcome to yet another session of my Artsy Musings. You'll notice perhaps that there is a lack of lighting. It's because I have no power at the moment, no electricity, so there's been an outage, a fault, whatever you want to call it. Whose fault, I don't know, since yesterday morning. So it's been more than 24 hours now. It's been, yes, quite some time, 25 hours to be precise so far. So I have to go ahead nonetheless and complete this piece and record the session. So my camera's all charged up and ready to go. I just have no extra lighting and so on. So if you see any dark shadows or anything like that, well, so be it. Cannot be helped. Hope you can see by my proceedings. Welcome to those of you who have perhaps just happed upon my channel, and if you have, then do hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you get notified of future uploads. And welcome back to my existing subscribers, those of you who follow me on a regular basis. Thank you for liking, thank you for sharing, thank you for your comments, and in particular, I always welcome comments. So yes, thank you for that. And yes, let's have at it and get done with this piece. I really want to complete today. It's looking great so far, and I've got a fair amount of white left to do, white work to do, and a fair amount of Conte white as well, and then completing with her little face over here. So specifically her eyes and that. So yeah, what I'm using now is a very soft pastel. And I'm working on the extreme edges of her, where her body catches the light. Sorry, from looking into the, now I do have my flash on, so the LED flash, so that's on permanently. So I was just, from talking to you and looking into the camera, now I've got this dot in my eye that I can't see properly. Yes, so where the light which is coming in, the direct light coming in from the right hand side over here, where it strikes her very white fur, is obviously where it's much more much brighter. So on this right hand side of our portrait is where it's brightest. So with that in mind, we progress with this piece. I'm just working quite softly at this point, just once again following that stretch of her body, following the almost delineations of her musculature. Goodness me, that was a mouthful. And then there's a slight ridge which I just want to get the contrast of it going so far, and then, goodness me, it's hard to see still. Really just put a real bright spot in my eye, in my iris, in my wherever, retina, so that I battle to see now. Right, it's coming right. It's coming right slowly. And this, of course, I shall be blending in. Stands out. just me. Stop it. What am I doing? Nothing, a little bit of wiping with a paintbrush can't solve. I'm leaving the paper color just standard right on this, pretty much aside from the grouting and a couple little shading spots here and there, leaving all of this blank, because the tiles are a very the tiles themselves are a very similar sort of color, and also get this nice sharp differentiation. It stands out much more. So yeah, so that's what I want to work with here. And then after I've completed with this kind of thing, I'll be working over it with, first of all, sort of cleaning up the edges with my eraser, and then after that going over the whole thing with some Conte crayon line work. So just picking up those little flecks of fur and so on. But for now, just working up this. And normally, if as I've said previously, if it was a seascape or something like that, I would most definitely be using acrylic white for my extreme highlights. And although this is extreme highlight, I don't think that putting acrylic in with this piece would kind of lend itself. It would be just a little bit too much. Almost sort of overkill. I don't want to do that. I want to be too extreme with my white. This is sufficient to be, and sufficiently contrasting to make a significant difference. Also use a little bit more of this slightly harder white soft pastel, which doesn't cling to the paper quite so deftly as what the other one does. So I get my line work quite nice, and yeah, that's it. Some subtle blending work here. In fact, the pastel actually performs the task quite well itself. So just working around this. Just to pick up on these little slightly gingery part of her tail. That's nice. Okay. Right, let's start working with the white Conte, if I can find it. Oh, there it is, all looking brownish and greenish and what have you. Right. So once again, I'm being quite rough here, well, quite graphic, let me put it that way, in my execution. Just giving that hint of the manner in which her fur lies on her. You can scribble a bit even, actually. And there's some kind of reflected light as well as direct light on this side of her, so it's reflecting off the tiles themselves up onto her, so that she's got this a lot of subtlety in terms of light and shade in her fur, especially in the white areas, which is the majority of her form. Once again, I can be quite nice and rough here, because I'm already working white on white, so it just adds another layer. I'm not going to sign this piece yet because, well, I'm not going to sign it during this session because generally speaking, when we take our artworks to display at the North Coast Artists meeting, we don't put our names on it, or we don't have our names displayed. We cover them up if they are on. So just so that it's unbiased So yeah, we judge the art for what it is, rather than who done it. You know what I'm saying? So I get some of the texture going in her fur. Whilst maintaining that so it's not so bold, and it still maintains the integrity of the whiteness and the paleness of her fur. Just giving it a little bit of additional form and texture. I hope she comes in today, because to say hello, Sage. She hasn't been here the whole. Well, she hasn't popped in during this entire proceedings. Normally she does, doesn't she? Just marking out these little stripes a bit more, just on this little patch, just a little tiny bit. Some extra colour in there, just a hint, the merest meowing hint. And then a little bit of this sort of slightly ochre yellow over here, just a hint of that, and soften it out a bit with some more wheaty colour. So when nearing completion, I shall be using a little bit more of a little bit of black as well, in the form of black Conte. Right, let's just start working her facial characteristics in a bit. Right, first of all, I think I'm going to tackle her eyes. That's important, rather, isn't it? Let's go with, yeah. So I have to work quite fine here because, as I've previously mentioned, her eyes in this piece are a lot tinier than the previous one. So I have to work very carefully with color and what I'm using. So I want to include a little bit of this. First of all, I think let's put her little pupils in. Let's just see where they are here. Goodness, yeah, this is tricky. Getting there slowly. Don't want to put too dark a line here. It's got to be just right. Just right. So, as you can tell, no talking, I'm focusing quite intensely here because these eyes have to be right. They have to be really spot on. Otherwise, it can throw the entire image the right balance of color, even if it's tiny like this. Whew. Right, I need something that is a bit darker here. What am I going to use? What am I going to use? Let's actually bring a... Oh, there we go. Even a bit lighter over here. Lighter flecks over there of her. She's got slightly different... She's got sort of yellowy green eyes. A yellowy green eye on her left, and her right is a more bluey green. Very subtle change, a difference in color. And then something darker. Goodness me. Don't know if I've got quite the right. Let's go for this. Let's go for a little bit of brown in here as well. And where's that light green? There it is. Let's just bring that in a bit. goodness gracious me, this is quite tricky. And a little bit of this lilac, pale lilac. Where is the other one? I want to use that one there. Yeah, that pale, so bluey lilac. That's a bit light, but it can blend. I'm doing my best to keep conversational. I really am. It is a bit of a struggle though. It really is. So just bear with me if you don't mind. Very, very pretty little eyes this one has got. Sage. Pretty and bright. Like little jewels. Finn has got like headlamps. They glow almost, but they're all yellow. Sage's has got this lovely little, he's got these different little flecks of colour and so on in them. Yo, Hable, this is very difficult, but getting there, slowly getting there. I'm only being very, very pedantic because I have to capture Sage, not just a cat. This is why. This is the reason why. It's very, very important to get that right. Okay, and now dark blue here. I'm spending time on your eyes because this is that critical stage. Trying to be as fine as possible within the limitations of my blunt tools, but I do need to be as kind of accurate as possible here. Yeah, that's getting there. That's getting there. Getting that naughty little look of her Sage's character. She does always have this little mischievous look about her. It's better. Right, I'm going to continue with the rest of her face, getting that going before I complete the eye. I think the eye is going to be, I've just got a few highlights of what have you put on her, to place on her eyes. So let's just complete her face and then we can just come back to that. So I shall share the video, obviously, today. Well, that's the reason you're seeing it. But I shan't be sharing just yet on any other social media platforms, i.e. Facebook and Instagram, just yet, until such time as Monday. Next week I'll share it. A few subtleties here, just working with these little ears and how the light catches the fur, the length of the fur in her ears, the skin inside her ears that you can just sort of make out pinkish, its pinkish nature. And these very definitive little markings. I need to get some of this white going here, a much softer white. Gosh, this is so tricky, working with a very blunt pastel stubby thing. So if I'm going to stick to the 45 minutes or thereabouts, then I've got about 10 minutes left. However, I might well push through for an hour. All depends on how things go here. Yikes. Okay. Let's go for a little pink of her nose and something a bit darker. This is quite the challenge, I can tell you. And then she's got this little funny black marking on the side of her nose. Just Sage's one of her little characteristics. I think I should use a little bit of charcoal in here just to subtly darken the eyes. and the little white fur on her chinny chin. Whew, yeah. If you can hear an engine sound in the background, that's a generator next door. My neighbour's got koi fish, a lot of koi fish. In fact, it's a business. So those tanks need to have their pumps working at all times, day, night, 24/7. So yeah, when there's no power or when there's load shedding, that generator kicks in. And I'm very grateful to Warren as well, because when there is an extended outage like this, he allows me to plug into his send an extension lead over the wall and plug in. So at least I can keep my Wi-Fi going, I can keep my fridge going, etc. So I'm most grateful for that. Goodness, it's quite a thing, you know. We kind of take it in our stride here in South Africa, but goodness me, it's just it just never seems to end, and then there's always other things that they start trying to take your attention away with. I mean, just this morning I read an article stating that that there was this plan to fix up Moses Mabhida Stadium, which was built in like ahead of the 2010 World Cup, so it isn't exactly that old. Now they're planning on spending millions on fixing it up. For what? For what? They've destroyed our tourism anyway, with the problem of the sewage. So, you know, electricity is a huge factor. They haven't maintained various facilities, infrastructure, etc. Now they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes, but by saying, you know, we're going to be doing, this is the municipality, by the way, so by saying, oh, we'll do this and we'll do that, and you know, it's going to attract tourism, and I mean, really, they really can't actually see their own bullshit when they speak it. It's actually insane. It really is. Just beyond that. They think that they can just divert our attention with these sort of games they play. Crazy, man. Crazy stuff. Unbelievable. And yet they just carry on. They carry on, and they know they can, so that's what they do. Because people will huff and puff, like myself. Got to be granted. We huff and puff, but we don't actually take action to bring these people to book, to take them to task. We're too busy trying to sort out dealing with the world as it is. Anyway, but you know, it's every day is a new thing. Every day is a new promise, a broken promise, mind you, because it's broken before it's even begun, because it will never follow through. So they say that there's plans to set aside millions for this development, and then what happens is, when it's time, because now we've forgotten, when the time comes to actually do the work, there's no more funds, because the funds have been bloody pilfered already. That's the craziness of it. Really, really is. And that's what we constantly have to put up with. And this is the stuff that we accept. Some little whiskers. And I think that we're almost done. Lots of little subtleties. I might do a few tweaks off camera, because I can, because I haven't signed it. So I shall perhaps look at it closely and just add a few little tweaks and so on before calling it finished. But it's really, really close now. I'm happy to say, and it's come together rather well. I'm also happy to say. What with the little subtleties? Where's that orange? Where's that orange colour? That one. That's little Sage for you, and then her little claws here. Here's little Finn. Hello, baby girl. Right, we are all but done here. This little sage. Finn, what you up to? Alrighty ho then, folks. I think I am done. Aside from a few tweaks, as I said previously. But yes, it's turned out to be quite a nice, fun little piece. Hope it does well at the North Coast Artists meeting, but nevertheless, it's been a fun exercise, nevertheless, all the same. So quite happy with it. Obviously, a very personal thing. Yeah. Okie dokie, folkies. That looks about it. There's Sage for you in her upside down, stretchy, wetchy pose. Yes, hope you've enjoyed it, and do tune in again next week when I hopefully start something else. I don't know, we'll see. I might or might not actually, because I am going away next week, so I might just give it a break. Yes, but hope you've enjoyed, and do stay subscribed. And until I see you again, I bid you oodles and oodles of toodles, and urge you to be good, be kind, be gentle, be caring, be loving, etc., etc. So yes, take care, folks, and catch you again on the flip side. Have a fantastic weekend ahead, and take it easy. Bye. Don't forget to doodle.